Welcome to Pleasure Central Radio, the place to rethink the assumptions we don't even realize we are making that keep us from getting what we truly want out of work, life, and love. Here is your sneak peek into an authentic, pleasure-focused conversation. It is Thanksgiving weekend here in the States, and Thanksgiving is one of those holidays that I've had a deep connection to for a long time. I'm not a big fan of the cultural and heritage roots of Thanksgiving. Obviously, there's a lot of not so nice history there. My community for the last decade have been having gatherings, dinners, reframed Thanksgiving to be not a holiday about gratefulness, but a holiday about appreciation. We see there's a very small, fine-tuned difference between the two. And for me, the way I think of it is that gratitude means that I'm kind of having to hold in my consciousness the experience or the circumstance that I got over in order to feel the appreciation or the happiness that I'm feeling right now. Like I almost have to remember what a pain it was. And appreciation is such a cleaner vibration in my mind. Appreciation is just pure positive, oh my gosh, this thing, this person, this trait of my own is amazing. I love it. I think it's really neat. So for me, an honest, deep, real thank you note feels like a much wiser use of my energy in terms of the difference between appreciation and gratitude. So when I was standing in my podcasting studio, kind of looking around, exploring myself, trying to decide what episode should be, I ended up seeing these two letters that I had just posted on the wall. Given that it is Thanksgiving here in the United States, it's Thanksgiving in the year 2020, and I happened to find some thank you letters to my parents that I wrote while I was growing up, I thought I would share with you in order a couple of my thank you notes over the years. Because if there's anything that I've learned, it's that happy ending may not be what you think it is. And just because that happy ending doesn't look like it's happening for you, doesn't mean something better isn't in the works. And so here are some of my thank you letters, my appreciation letters over the years. One is to my mom, one is to my dad, and one is basically to myself. One of them is a letter to my mom when I'm, 7, 8, 9 years old. And it's on that giant lined paper in pencil in huge block letters. But pretty much proper punctuation. Yeah, I was always a good punctuator and speller. And then the second letter was a thank you letter to my dad when I'm a teenager. And this one is printed out. It's printed in Comic Sans font. And let me give you a little bit of context for these letters. My mom raised 4 older children before me and my little sister. And they were much older, 7 years older plus. And my mom died suddenly when I was 11. So my dad ended up being pretty much a single parent for most of the rest of my childhood. And he was the one who I turned to for all of those things as a teenager, health-wise and body-wise and sex-wise and relationship-wise, all of that. All right, so the first letter was probably about 7, 8, 9 years old, I don't know. Dear Mom, thank you for coming in to show my class and tell them about your jobs. I myself didn't know you worked at all those places. I hope you'll let us come maybe somewhere where you work, like the visitor center. Love, Rebecca Taylor. P.S. Please. That was very cute. I remember my mom telling us about working at the visitor center that she would get humorous questions from tourists all of the time. And one of her favorites, she worked at the Grand Canyon, one of her favorites was, Where's the elevator to the bottom? Or where's the road to the bottom? Or where's the escalator to the bottom? Elevator was the favorite, though. Where's the elevator to the bottom of the Grand Canyon? And she always got a kick out of that. She had to laugh. The second letter is to my dad. It says, I love you. Thank you, Daddy. Keep in mind I was probably 16 or so, at least, by the time I wrote this. Thank you for holding my hand when I was scared. You helped me be strong and act brave. Thank you for encouraging me to do what I know is right. You've given me invaluable advice that has kept me out of trouble. Thank you for helping me develop my talents. You encouraged me to be unique and different. Thank you for setting a good example. You showed me that heaven is not just for, quote-unquote, good people. Thank you for pushing me to the limit. By expecting me to do my best, you made me want to do my best. Thank you for teaching me about responsibility. You persuaded me to follow through on my endeavors. Thank you for your support. When you believed in me, I did too. Thank you for realizing when to be silent. You were wise to know that I needed to learn some things for myself. Mostly, thank you for simply being there. You were always willing to talk about the big stuff, the small stuff, and all the stuff in between. Your loving daughter, Becky Joy. And next is about 10 minutes of me talking about what I'm thankful for this year. I'm thankful for my independence. I'm thankful that I have a career that allows me to be flexible, to refresh myself when I need to reinvent myself as many times as I need to really find the right clients, the right interactions that really help me understand myself better, thrive, that allow me to move through the world with plenty of ease. The education that I've received that has allowed me to do that. The fact that I came of age at the beginning of the popularity of the internet, and so information was so widely available. I learned a lot of what I know about sex and sex safety and relationships from free websites on the internet. And that plus learning double entry accounting with Newcash, which was an open source QuickBooks is the best equivalent to it these days, but it was an open source double entry accounting platform that had fantastic help. So I learned how to do double entry accounting for free on my own for myself. And then later I was able to use that as a career too, and be a bookkeeper. I'm thankful for the people that I've gotten to build things with this year. Build projects, build podcast episodes, build communities, build relationships with. It has been a lovely year. In spite of all of the difficulty and in spite of a fair amount of pain, there's been so much good and so much partnership and so much honoring and so much respect. And yeah, far-reaching respect as well. It can't all be about what other people think about you. And when many other people think really, really good things about you and they make it a point to tell you, that's a good life right there. I think that is potentially a very large piece of a very pleasure-filled life. And this year, I am so thankful for technology. I am so thankful that adopting to Zoom and bringing our community together on Zoom has actually been, not that hard. There's been disjointedness and disconnection and the disorganization of it, but actually getting people together and knowing the path and knowing what we need to do, knowing how to do it, not that hard. And I really appreciate that technology has been there for us this year in order to keep us connected, keep us sane, keep us moving forward and doing things together and making plans together and actually able to make an impact on the world in spite of everything, Someone mentioned to me earlier this year that if this pandemic had happened in the 90s, we'd basically all just be hanging out at home with Blockbuster and VHS and rewatching the same movies over and over again. And yeah, that's kind of how it was in the 90s now that I think about it. So I'm glad that we had technology that allowed us to stay connected and to take the breaks that we needed to, but also to be connected when we needed to. This year, I'm also really thankful for my clients and for the deeper relationships that I've gotten to dive into because of the way the world has been changing. Spending more time with fewer people, getting to know people better, getting to know them on a deeper level, and recognizing that I've always had this, even when I was a life coach, I had this intention that people that would come to me would eventually graduate. I would boot them out at some point. Okay, now you can't really learn anything more from me. Go and do something else. Go be adventurous and learn from someone else. And I feel like that has been a really beautiful piece of this year, being able to watch some of my interactions with people go through that and say, oh, I can actually see that you're about to graduate from this, and I'm really happy for you, and how can I make this an easy transition? And that's been really fun, finding new ways to navigate relationships, which is kind of my favorite thing in the world to do. So getting to do that in new and interesting and complicated ways has been really nice. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And it has provided me some immense fulfillment too, because it's one thing to have a really pleasurable session on a regular basis with the same person. And it's another thing to have a really pleasurable session with that person on a regular basis and to see how you're making an impact on each other and making each other's lives better in some way. Like for me, oftentimes this is the interaction that I have with clients about books or literature or musicals or whatever our mutual interest is. Getting to talk about that and share about that on a deep level with each other. It's very intimate, and it has so much potential to make a change in someone's life and someone's actual experience. So looking back over this year, getting to see the fruits of those relationships happening now. And yeah, that's very pleasant. I really appreciate it. Other things that I'm thankful for my apartment. I'm thankful for how comfortable I feel here, how even though I've been stuck inside for an inordinate amount of this year, normally that would be really difficult. And this year it's only been a little difficult because I've created so much here to support me and found ways of creating routines for myself that are really working, upgrading things that needed to be upgraded, finally putting up shelves where they needed to be, giving myself space to do physical exercise here, giving myself space to dance and do everything that I really want to do here, and having my podcast studio here has been really amazing. That is not new this year, it's a year and a half or so, but being able to use it every week has been really nice. Hey, Pleasure Seeker. Well, that's it for today's conversation. Here at Pleasure Central Radio, we love using conscious communication, science geekery, and copious amounts of true pleasure to improve our partnerships, our money, and our love lives. And we hope you do too. If you loved what you heard here, we'd love a review. You can listen to other episodes of the podcast and read thought-provoking essays or poems written by me, Radiant Rebecca, by checking out the blog on pleasurecentralpodcast.com. Sign up to hear about new episodes immediately at pleasurecentralpodcast.com.